neighborhood. And as far as crime, that's everywhere. That's not just one neighborhood. You can have the same problems in one part as you go to the other. So that's kind of a, you know, middle ground excuse in my book. So I appreciate your time with that. And I hope you consider this as a good option for the city, because homeless people do need a hand up. I know there's a lot of people that might have, you know, not understand it right at first, but, you know, I think that it'd be good in the long run. It'll probably cut down on crime and stuff as well, in my opinion. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
My name is, excuse me, is Betty Cauclaser, and I live at 48. I'm at 1048 or 1008 North 49th. I sincerely believe in this. I think it's a great thing. I think it's awesome, and this gentleman that just spoke, I believe everything that he said. My only concern with this is that I've been a therapist for about 40 years, and I've been 35 years. I've been the director of an organization that's nationwide. It's called CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocate for Children. And my concern is that we're going to have children in that facility along with the homeless, and we're going to have all kinds of homeless there. And I'm concerned about, I know that there's going to be all kinds of counseling. I know Bryan County, and I know what they do. They step forward, and I've seen a lot of that. I started the crisis center years ago, and the lady is right. You have to have domestic violence to get into that. But I think we're going to have problems if we try to put women and men together. That's the reason we have Howe Foundation for men and women. We have separate facilities for them. Wherever we're at, we separate them. Seems like it don't work. We're going to be dealing with drug and alcohol in that facility. We're going to be dealing with mental ill people. We're going to be dealing with people that's got all kinds of issues, and it takes a while for them to get their feet on the ground. I understand that, but my concern is I want to help them. I think it's an awesome thing, but my concern is for the children that's going to be in that facility. And if we could just have a homeless shelter for the men to start out with. We have, I think, 15 rooms. It's awesome. I live on down the road from that. I think it's awesome what they're doing, but my problem is that that we have issues here. We have a Howe Foundation for women. We have one for men. And we separate them because there's issues if you put men and women in the same facility. If, say, for instance, a child starts crying in the middle of the night, what's somebody over there on the other do that's, you know, that's been homeless? It takes a while for anybody to get their feet on the ground, and I think it's awesome what this is doing. But my concern is what's going to happen to the children. They've been through domestic violence. And a woman that's homeless, she's probably not homeless of her own, but she's going to have drug and alcohol problems. So, I just feel like that I'm for the bill. I'm for everything for it, but my concern is for the children. We are adults. We have to protect our children. And I think that is my concern. It's not for the residents where it's at or what they're doing, but my concern is that we're having the children there and the women there, and I think that it's not going to be good for the children to be housed there in that facility. And as far as working, I think there's somebody that I'm sure they didn't mention that, or they may have it, and they're going to be all jobs offered for them. They're going to be everything. We just had a case last week that where they stepped up and they filled the facility up with clothes, bedding, and everything else. So they're there, but they were there for children. They were there for children, and I think we're supposed to look after our children, and I think until we find out how it's going to run, we need to find some place. We've got the Red Cross, we got Ministerial Alliance, we got DHS, we've got a little bit of everybody that'll help somebody with the children. And I think we've got that facility that we can do that, we can step up. All we have to let be known is that there is mother and children in trouble, and people just step up. But I think that if we create a problem, and I think I want it to go, and I think everybody does, but I think we'll create a problem when we start mixing the women that are homeless. And we have an outstanding person here that did great, and I commend her for what she did, but we've got a lot of them. But I think that we'll have a problem if we don't have something to where the children will not be housed there in that building for a while. Thank you.
Michelle, can you respond to that? Are there any stipulations or to separate the men, the women, and the children?
Okay, so what we have in place at this time is one big open room. We will have security guards there, as well as volunteer or staff every evening to take care of that. I think that it's important for everyone to know, and if you read the business plan, the phase program is people will already have gone through a drug testing. They will already have gone through a screening. And so we will not house people there every day, all day long, that have issues like that. We will actually work really hard to actually resource them out. I have a gentleman's drug and rehabilitation. I have connection with one now that will actually take them for free, working with trying to figure out a place for people that want help that have mental issues. Our main goal is to reconstitute people. And so with that, you have to be able to be able to get a job. You have to be able to go into the FACE program. As far as the women and children, our board actually sat down just this last week and visited this and decided, we went back and forth and we tabled it on whether or not, when we first open doors, what do we really want it to look like? Would it be beneficial for us to house men and women together? That is another reason why I have reached out to the police department to work with them and ask them if they would give their input on the safety issues, because we do not want to have any problems there. We've asked them if they would bring in input into our intake program, our background checks, that type of thing, so our children or families are not under some safety there. If you'll notice, our next year plan is to build on a 3,000 square foot facility. The reason for that, it will be a square. There will be women on one side, men on one side, and families in another area. They will not be able to cross paths. They will feed at different times. They will walk through the facilities at different times. And again, I need to add that those people will be people that are in a phase program that have already been proven that they can be there and be trusted. Did that answer your question? Okay.
My name's Kenny Gardner. I got a sister that lives over by Dairy Queen. And I got a mom that moved up here, my mom and dad that moved up here. It's been a while. They've been here for a while. They used to live at 701 West Beach. And we moved up here. I live at 905 West Beach. My mom moved across town. She lives over there, by that area. I have problems with people in my own family that I'm security for my house right now. I really am. I got 4 kids. I got one that is, this has done something to me, I'm sorry. But I've got one that's a senior in high school, fixed to graduate. She works at Sonic. I've got another one. I've got them in all different. I got them from in diapers all the way up. I believe in the rule of law. I believe in God. I believe in country. I believe in veterans. And I believe that there's something that we can do. And that's from the bottom of my heart. I'm not here to cause any problems. I don't even want to be political. But I've been up for days trying to help. I've been delivering supplies, We got tarps up. I was willing to go pick up trash if need be. We do got a problem. If we want to clean the streets, we got to do something about it. I mean, really, we do. And I'm a voice also for a lot of these people I've met out on the way. I've met people that are working, sleeping in their cars. I've been out there. I've met people. The place that I ended up at first, I did not think was it wasn't Tent City, I don't think. I just stumbled upon chance. And one of the first people I've met in this town kind of scared me, to be honest with you. He pulled something out real quick knocked on my door and pulled something out real quick. It was a bottle of whiskey. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I don't know, you can ask my wife how long it's been, but I did it through Jesus Christ, and I think these people are doing something great. I really do. And we got to come up with some kind of solution. I got a pregnant sister over there, like I said. My mom lives at Lazy Lane now in the new housing addition. I don't even talk to my brother. He shows up every once in a while, but there's people in my own family. My sister, I'm not running down my own family. I love them, I always will, but we've even raised their kids before in Texas. And there's got to be some kind of solution to get these people out of the cold. The ones that are trying. There's a lot of them. And that's from the bottom of my heart. I got something I wrote down here. I ain't got much sleep the last it's been going on for a while, but it's taken from my family. And that's pretty much all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
My name is Shauna Shelton, and I didn't come here tonight prepared to speak. But after hearing all of this, I currently house homeless in my home. I have 3 people in my home that wouldn't have another place to go. I'm an ordained minister here in Bryan County, and I run a 12-step recovery program. And these people that are coming, for help, that are homeless, they're coming because they want to change. They want help. I'm sure, we get the idea of a homeless shelter. It's just people that are coming in just out of the cold. But I love the phase program that these people are doing, because that's going to draw in those ones that do want to change. I was an addict myself at one point. I was in the women's shelter here, the domestic violence shelter here in Durant, and if it would not have been for that program, I would not be here where I am today. And, anything that I can do as a pastor, as God's support to help these people, and with this 12-step program that's all faith-based, I'm all for this program and anything that I can do to help, because like I said, homelessness is an issue, and like I said, I do have them in my house. Something needs to be done, because we've got an epidemic on our hands that the only way that we're going to be able to help them is if we start giving them a handout instead of pointing fingers at them. Thank you.
Thank you. We are still under the public hearing portion. I would just remind or ask the council if we're at a place to consider a motion yet, or do we want to, we can continue with the public hearing. And what I would need to do, if I think we're at a time for a motion, is to close the public hearing. And if there's anyone else that still wishes to speak, this will be the first call. Yes.
I don't necessarily want to speak, but my name's Sarah Metz. I live at 5363 Stonebriar Circle. And I think it would be important just for everyone that is here from the community that is in support of this to stand up, just so that we can be seen. And all of these people want to be a part of a positive change. And I think that if we move forward with this as a community, we're going to grow in our hearts. And there's a lot of scary things about change, but there are also great rewards. And just think it's an amazing thing to try to be a part of. And that's all.
Thank you. Under the public hearing portion, first call for any further speakers.
Move to approve resolution 2018-28.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second, but we have another speaker. Sorry.
Sorry. We got excited.
We do have a motion on the floor. We do have a second, but we will allow another speaker. We've not closed the public hearing portion yet. Go ahead, Mel.
Okay. My name is Sue Stanfield, and I'm with Hands of Hope. I'm the director of Hands of Hope, and I've been dealing with homeless people for 30 years. And when we first began years ago, and it had always been in our heart not to see that, not to allow homeless people to take over our city. I love Durant. I have loved Durant from the first day I ever came here, which was 50 years ago. But the one thing that I deal with every single day is people that are hungry, people that are homeless, people that don't have a place to stay. But some of them we know that we're never going to help. But there are so many of them. I have talked to them, and I have prayed with them. I have worked with them in any way that I can to help them to be able to get jobs, to do whatever that they can do within our realm of being able to do that within the church. I'm from Victory Life, and the things that we deal with is low self-esteem. Whatever reason that got them in the homeless situation, it doesn't mean it has to keep them all there. And we know that, but we know there has to be, just like Michelle's saying, a step up. We have to be able to at least walk them through some processes. Some will never. They will be homeless forever. But there are so many that will not be, and they really do want a chance. One of my warehouse men had followed a homeless man because he was a really good man. He would come in and he would get food. Real homeless people, when we give them food, we don't give them what we give the normal people that come into Hands of Hope to get food. We give them special food that we know that they can eat. And he would go through his bag and he would take anything out that he couldn't use, and he would give it back. He wouldn't take except what he needed. Well, he followed this man and he watched him from afar. And this man would go to lots and areas that were nasty and dirty and everything, and he would rake and pick up trash and he would clean up the area. And he was amazed that this man was doing that. Now, he was homeless, but I had talked to him. We had started putting into him and everything, and I had talked to him, and I had asked him, what's going on? He says, well, he gets a check, but nobody would rent to him. He didn't have any history. He had no background, and he'd been here for a few years. And so we had tried to do, he was living in storage buildings, and but he had learned to live to survive, and that's what a lot of them do. But we can help them. We can put in them to make them that individual that can be a functional part of society. And maybe not everybody, but we can help a lot. We have people that come to us that are all messed up, and once that they're willing to go to a rehab or anything, we get them down there and we get them taken care of it and sent off, and try to give them that helping hand. And then we have mothers and children, just like she said, every now and then, and we get families. I've sent families to Tulsa on a bus because they were going to lose their kids if we didn't get them in a shelter. And there was none open anywhere, not in Denison, not in Ardmore. And so we had to send them all the way to Tulsa. Well, that's what we do. We're trying to place them. We're trying to help them. And I understand that a lot of people are afraid of homeless because they, that will draw homeless. We probably will. We're a growing city. I love Durant. I do not, when I walked to Family Dollar General and I saw a man sleeping during the day on the concrete because he slept where it was safe and he couldn't sleep out there at nighttime because it wasn't safe. So he would stay awake at nighttime. And so there's survival skills that they do. They don't have food, they steal from one another. If they don't have something, they do that. Well, if we can help those people that are displaced right now, if we can get them to where that they have jobs and they know that they have a future, they have a support system, and not just house them, but give them goals, give them something. I worked with a little girl that had been homeless for 2 years and began to question her and asking her, questions even deeper than what she would surface thing, and was working with her to try and get identity for her so she could even get a job. And if you could have seen her just absolutely light up because no one had given her any hope of getting out of the situation she was in. She didn't know how to do it. She felt like her hands were tied. And that's all that we want to do, is to give people hope that they don't have to stay in that situation. And so that's our goal. That's what we want to do. I hate seeing people in my city carrying signs saying, I will work for food, because it's a scam, and most of it is. And our pastor has taught us not to give into that, not to give because of being manipulated to give, but to give because we know it's the right thing. So we supply food. We help people with utilities. We help people with housing, wherever we can do that. And we want to continue to do that. We don't want to withhold that. We're supportive of trying to help people do better. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Final call, and we'll close the public hearing portion. We have a standing motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? On behalf of the council, this has probably been one of the most well-attended public hearing items in months, and my compliments to all. Clerk, record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How many times we get to do something everybody claps for us?
She's got to be here. Okay, if there are no objections then from council, we'll go to item 6B. Public hearing portion for the purpose of providing information, including an analysis of potential positive or negative impacts, and answering questions regarding the proposed Project Hickory Economic Development Project Plan. And we have with us Mr. Paul Bunce, the interim executive director for the Durant Industrial Authority. And Paul, I'll yield to you to introduce our other guest.
Well, our project is moving forward and making good progress. They have applied for a building permit and their plans are proceeding. As far as the TIF, we're also making progress there. And the next step is for the public hearing tonight, and we're pleased to have with us Dan Batchelor and Jeff Sabin, who will address the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I'm Dan Batchelor. I'm with the Center for Economic Development Law. Our firm is dedicated to helping and assisting communities in connection with economic development and redevelopment projects. I am particularly excited to be with you tonight for several reasons. The first is, as you will see when we discuss the information concerning the proposed project plan, that it is a very positive and exciting project for the community of Durant and for this area. I'm also especially excited because Durant is my hometown, so for me, it's always a homecoming when I have the chance to be here. It's been a special community, it's nourished my life, and I'm especially pleased to see the positive and nourishing things that this community has been doing and continues to do to make it an attractive, healthy, rewarding community in which to live. And one of the most significant ways in which a city and its leadership do that is through the nourishment and support of positive economic development that creates high-quality employment opportunities for the people who live there. You can tell as you travel around this state that the communities that provide offerings of quality jobs and quality employment opportunities tend to be the healthiest, most vibrant and attractive communities in which to live and raise a family. It's an important part of healthy community and family life, having those quality employment opportunities. But you know, if you travel around this state, you also will see many communities that are dying. They're evaporating. Those job opportunities are not there. The children grow up and have no reason to stay close to home anymore. The opportunities have simply ceased to exist. Earlier this fall, I was at a public hearing on a potential beneficial economic development project for a community that's somewhat larger than the city of Durant. And one citizen who came forward to oppose the project said, and I am quoting, "It's illusion to think that we can create jobs in this community that pay $50,000 or $60,000 a year." And I thought, you know, it's that very negativism that kills the hope for a community. So one of the reasons I'm happy to come home to Durant is you've been doing some wonderful things, and this project plan that's in front of you, I believe to be an example of that. And it's another step forward in terms of attracting and creating and nourishing quality employment opportunities for this community. The way you do this, of course, is to employ the tools of Oklahoma's Local Development Act. That was an act that did not exist until it was passed in 1992, and it was built on a 1990 constitutional amendment that empowered the state legislature to adopt legislation which would authorize cities, towns, and counties to create tax increment financing districts, approve project plans to nourish economic development, and especially for purposes of generating new employment opportunities and new economic health in areas that needed nourishment. The areas might be blighted. They might simply be areas that needed public improvements, or they may be areas that were classified by the state as an enterprise area or enterprise zone. The project area here is certainly one that qualifies under the Local Development Act because it does need public improvements to support economic development in the area, and it also is located in an enterprise area designated by the state of Oklahoma. That is an area in which the state says it is especially important to nourish economic development opportunities. Using the tools of the Local Development Act becomes especially significant for cities, towns, and counties because there are so few other tools. Almost invariably, if a city wants to undertake an economic initiative, it has to find a way to vote a new tax of one kind or another, either additional sales taxes or general obligation bonds. So it's not an easy thing to do. The beautiful thing about using Oklahoma's Local Development Act is it empowers you as the governing body of the community to pay the project costs, including the cost of public improvements or assistance in development financing, by using some of the new taxes that will be paid by the new enterprise that's generated by the new investment. So that is the character of this project plan. That is, it would create a tax increment financing district. That tax increment financing district would supply funds for some public improvements in the area, provide assistance and development financing to help support the location and development of this new manufacturing facility, which will create approximately 140 new jobs paying an average of $55,000 a year per employee. So these would be significant high-quality employment opportunities. And having those employment opportunities means you generate new residential demand in the area, new commercial demand in the area, which nourishes the overall economic health of the community. In a moment, I'm going to ask my partner and associate, Jeff Sabin, to walk you through some of the specifics of the project plan. But I want to conclude with this thought. Communities today, like the rest of the world, live in an entrepreneurial environment. Businesses and enterprises are making their choices about investment based on the combination of the attraction of the community, the overall health and facilities and quality of life that the community offers, and the willingness of the community to attract and support the development. That certainly would appear to be the case with a Spanish firm that is decided to locate in the city of Durant in the southeastern portion of Oklahoma. We believe it to be a very positive opportunity and encourage your support in claiming that opportunity. In a sense, one of the greatest tragedies of our times is to have a moment of opportunity and fail to claim it. When we conclude, we'll respond to whatever questions you might have, but I want to ask Jeff Sabin to take a few moments and walk through some of the specifics of the project plan that is in front of you for your consideration. Jeff?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Dan said, my name is Jeff Sabin. I'm an associate at the Center for Economic Development Law. I'll try to make this as brief as I can. And for those of you who know some things about TIF, I just would like to go over some of the basics about how it operates first. Some of which Dan has already mentioned. This illustration kind of illustrates how a TIF works. When the community adopts a tax increment financing district, the county assessor will go and it will determine what the assessed value was on the date that the project plan is adopted and the increment district is created. And taxes on that value will continue to flow to the taxing jurisdictions according to state law. Any increased valuation, taxes on that increased value get set aside into a particular apportionment fund to pay authorized project costs that are laid out in a project plan. And that increment district and those incremental taxes will continue to be collected and expended on those project costs up to 25 fiscal years or whatever amount of time the project plan states the increment district would be in effect, or until all of those delineated project costs in the project plan are paid off. And at that point, the full assessed value, including the incremental value, is placed back on the overall tax rolls, and taxes on it are distributed to the taxing jurisdictions according to state law. Dan touched on the eligibility a little bit. The statutory approval process for increment districts is kind of lengthy and a little bit complicated. The city, in this case, initiates a process by passing a resolution of intent that declares an intent to consider a project plan under the Local Development Act and appoint a review committee. And the review committee is made up of members of all of the affected taxing jurisdictions and members of the community at large. The review committee meets, discusses the project, reviews the project plan, makes specific statutory findings that are required as to its eligibility and its financial impacts, and then ultimately provides a recommendation to the City Council. After the review committee makes its recommendation, these can run concurrently, but the city will hold 2 public hearings before adoption. The first one before council is tonight, and the purpose for this hearing is to provide information and to answer questions about the project plan and the increment district. At the same time, the Planning Commission will also go and make a determination that the project plan conforms with the city's comprehensive plan. And then the second public hearing is to provide an opportunity for those interested to voice their opinions for or against the proposed project. After the public hearings have been held, the city will consider adopting an ordinance approving the proposed project plan and establishing the increment district. To recap the project's history, Salem Tube Incorporated, which is the Spanish firm that Dan mentioned, the city and the Durant Industrial Authority have already entered into an economic development agreement whereby the Durant Industrial Authority will convey the project site at Country Club Road and Highway 78 to Salem Tube in exchange for Salem Tube having obligations to construct and operate a metal tubing fabrication and manufacturing facility. DIA has, through that economic development agreement, has offered to provide development financing assistance for the first 10 years that the project is operational. And that project assistance would essentially be a 99% rebate of the ad valorem taxes paid. So in other words, 99% of that increment revenue generated by the incremental taxes. A precondition to Salem Tube, their obligations to construct and operate the manufacturing facility, is that the city would consider this TIF project plan in order to have that funding plan in place to provide that assistance. The City Council passed the resolution of intent to declare its intent to consider a project plan back on August 14th. The review committee has met twice to review the project plan. That happened on October 15th and October 19th. And they unanimously found the project area and the increment district to be eligible under the Local Development Act, and that the project would have positive financial impacts both on the taxing jurisdictions and on the local business activities in the area. And they also recommended that the City Council approve the project plan. The Planning Commission is currently scheduled to review the project plan on November 20th. The project plan itself creates a new 13-year ad valorem TIF 3, which would be the third increment district that the city of Durant has implemented. The first one being Cardinal Glass out on the west side of town, and the second one was the Commercial Metals project. But the 13-year period is approximately, it counts for 2 years to have the project actually finish construction. And then that 10-year operational period where the owner, the Salem Tube, gets that 99% of the ad valorem rebated each year. And then a 1-year contingency in case the construction period goes a little bit long or there are other complications. The authorized project costs are based on some projections that we did in our office, which I'll cover here in a minute. But basically, the authorized project cost would be about $6.6 million. $5 million of that being the financing assistance to Salem Tube, $100,000 to cover some implementation and administrative costs that DIA will incur, and then a $1.5 million contingency in case the assessed value is greater than we project. The project plan also designates the Durant Industrial Authority as the principal entity to carry out and administer the increment district. This means that they'll be responsible for keeping track of the funds, making the payments to Salem Tube, and conducting and publishing the annual report that's required by the statute each year. The city is also authorized as an additional entity to assist in the event that it makes sense for the city to incur some costs. The city can be reimbursed from TIF revenues at some future date. The funding anticipated, unlike the previous 2 increment districts that the city has in place, this is intended to be a pay-as-you-go TIF. There will be no debt issued on the front end. It'll strictly be a reimbursement of the increment revenues collected each year and paid directly under the contractual arrangement between DIA and Salem Tube. This is the project location. Just on the north side of the new US 70 bypass at Highway 78 in between Country Club Road and the bypass itself. In terms of eligibility, everything in pink, which is pretty much the entire area around the city of Durant, is currently listed as an enterprise area by the Oklahoma Department of Commerce, and that provides automatic eligibility under the Local Development Act. Financial impacts, the estimated investment that Salem Tube is going to be doing under the Economic Development Agreement is between $40 and $62 million. And that'll include 140 permanent jobs with an average salary of $55,000. There will be a significant benefit both during and after the termination of the increment district to all the taxing jurisdictions. Adding that many new jobs will increase demand on housing. The employees will have to live and work somewhere. So the school districts, both Durant and Calera, will experience some gains based on where all the workers will decide where to live. The project site is located within the Calera school district, but Calera and Bryan County will both experience financial gain based on ancillary development activity and property value growth. And the health department, EMS, and the VOTEC will experience some additional benefits from the improvements to the area and the potential job training opportunities that come with it. Economic impacts, increased development, especially development that creates primary sector jobs, has a beneficial impact and impact multipliers on the local economy. The development creates growth in other business activities, other supporting businesses. And in addition, on a temporary level, construction of the facility itself, based on the assumptions noted here, will include approximately 600 temporary construction jobs while the facility gets constructed and gets up and running, which will support about $21 million in payroll. And that's not including those 140 permanent jobs that were previously mentioned. The next steps, the Planning Commission, as we noted earlier, is scheduled to hear this on November 20th, and they'll make a determination whether the project plan conforms with the city's comprehensive plan, and they'll provide a recommendation to this body. The city is scheduled to host the second public hearing before it adopts the project plan at a special call meeting on November 27th. And at that point, the city will provide an opportunity for anyone interested to express their views for or against. And at that same meeting, the city council will consider adopting an ordinance that actually approves the project plan and creates TIF 3. After that point, the ordinance will be published and the county assessor will be notified to determine the base assessed value for the district. At this point, me or Dan or Paul will welcome to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Jeff. Council members have any questions with the information provided this evening?
For clarification, you referred to it as I guess, essentially a pay-as-you-go. I guess, is this slightly different than how we did with CMC? I feel like at that time we got kind of an outline of this is what it would pay for. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
The pay-as-you-go means that there won't be any revenue notes or bonds issued at the front end to provide any money up front. All the payments, basically how the contract reads and how the TIF is proposed to be implemented is that each year the taxes will be paid under the regular schedule because to the owner, any property tax owner in a TIF district, they pay their tax bill according to state law. What happens with that money is handled behind the scenes, essentially. So nobody's taxes goes up and all that jazz. But basically, when that increment revenue check comes from the county treasurer to the city will forward it to DIA into the apportionment fund for the specific TIF. And then DIA will simply write a check for 99% of that amount by a certain date each year directly to Salem Tube. There's no, the only obligation or pledge of the revenue is in that economic development agreement. There's no debt instrument involved.
Thank you.
Can you show the slide before this one, the location? Yeah.
Oh, the location.
Yeah, I wanted to look at that one more time.
That's the bypass with the property abutting 78 on the, yeah.
So how many acres are in there?
40 acres.
Paul, how many?
40.
40 acres? And then what's to the right?
Yeah, Steel Fab is the one just to the east, right there. It's
Okay.
already under- I mean, it's almost fully finished. And then the asphalt plant is across the street.
Now, is that on the north or south? I mean, is that,
Of the bypass?
yes,
Oh, I'm sorry. Of the bypass, it's to the north of it.
the north of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the school boundary is Country Club Road,
Yep.
just south of that.
Claire's gonna get a nice windfall from a lot of hard work here, so.
Gerald's gonna be happy. isn't he?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of housing going in that area too that they're gonna
Yeah,
need.
where's that located next to that?
What's
The
that?
housing that.
Oh, it's right across the, to the catty corner.
It'd be west, it'd be west.
To southwest from there.
Southwest of that area, just if you go straight down diagonally. That's where they're building those 200 and, well, Matt's still here, it's 240 homes, I believe.
Yeah, the west, southwest.
I have one question. I guess, Jeff, you might could answer. Do you have any idea the impact that this will have on OG&E? I've been asked about this. I've been told that our electric is at the max now, that we would have to have new electric lines and all brought in to accommodate this, or have our system brought more up to date.
Yeah. I think they're gonna use more gas than electricity.
I don't have any specific information about the impacts on OG&E.
You know, machinery,
Right.
I've got a little bit of experience with OG&E in that I've represented them before on some power issues, and I can tell you, if there were some demands that needed to be met, OG&E would meet all of those demands, just as they did for CMC. They ran lines on the north side of the city and on the south side of the city to meet all of those demands. That wouldn't be something that the taxpayers of the city would be responsible for at all.
our industrial authority chairman right here, Mark Tucker, incognito.
Yes.
Any other questions regarding the information provided again on the TIF?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. On the 600 jobs that they were talking, I'm sorry, my mind's not working. The temporary jobs, and you're saying you're gonna have over a $21 million payroll. Of that $21 million, how much is actually gonna stay in Durant or in Bryan County? I know it'd be just an estimate, but those are temporary workers. They're gonna be coming from probably outside the town, outside the county. Okay, they'll be staying in the motels. A lot of them will be. Okay. That money will stay with the motels. The taxes will stay with the motels in their tourism tax. The only tax, basically the only tax that we'll see from the temporary workers is gonna be what incidentals that they purchase and their food. So, to me, that 21 million payroll, I mean, that's total payroll, but that's an inflated figure as to what Durant will benefit from. Am I making?
No, I understand what you're saying completely. I mean, they're estimating it's a $21 million payroll. We do know they're going to fill up the hotels, and we can talk to the hotel owners, and we know that the restaurants are going to be bustling too. There's a lot of generated sales tax as well with that, and they're going to be making trips to Walmart and the other different places too for their incidentals. You are correct. So I don't know if there is a estimate. I mean, you would probably be able just to back it out on a normal, go to the, I'm trying to figure out some sort of percentage of an average budget that goes toward eating out and those type of things too. I mean, but I think what they're trying to show is that the $21 million payroll of those individuals are going to be here. They're going to be spending here too. So
And they're gonna be staggered. I mean, we're not gonna have 600 in here all at one time.
no.
But I was, trying to figure all that out in my mind, and
But when you talk to the hotel owners and the restaurant owner, they love it when the rooms are full and they're selling a lot of beer, right, Chad? So,
I'd like to see more of it spent retail, though, so that, as we all know, our taxes, sales taxes have been decreasing lately, and we need them.
sure, and this will help.
But it's gonna be slow.
There'll be local contractors involved.
There will be some local contractors involved as well. They won't all be from out of state. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but we are under the public hearing portion. Is there anyone else in the audience that has a comment? Yes. Please come forward and.
My name is James Bishop, and I just wanted to see if I get some clarification on how this TIF worked. It didn't, it didn't give us just a great detail about explaining how that calculation was going to happen on that TIF. If we could go back to that slide talking about the definitions of, I guess it was probably slide one or two.
Jeff can help you.
So I was trying to understand how the beginning number was going to, I guess it was the slide talking about the graphs of the beginning number and then the right here, yes, this graph. So we're talking about an existing tax base. Is that, how are we talking about the difference, the incremental tax growth? Is that just this plant location only, or are we talking about Bryan County as a whole?
Just that geographic area that was outlined in the map.
The 40 acres?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only portion of the increase that we set aside to refund back to them?
Correct.
So basically they're paying their tax and then we're refunding their tax?
Correct.
Okay, so we're not talking about other residential growth in our areas?
No.
That's ancillary growth, Mr. Bishop, that all the entities will benefit from as far as the ad valorem growth. We've experienced that with the Cardinal TIF number 1, TIF district number 1. We experienced ancillary growth over the years. We're experiencing that currently with the CMC, but that was a good question, but that clearly points out that it's only that incremental tax for that project, and all the other growth, we mentioned the 200 and some odd homes, that growth will go directly to the county and the entities that it supports, the school systems, et cetera.
Second question to add on to this. We're seeing a lot of growth in our area, a lot of new homes coming in. We're really, I feel like, as a resident, I feel like we're really taxing our, I just feel like we're busting at the seams in a lot of different places, a lot of different areas. One of them is our school systems, our utilities. I think somebody mentioned OG&E. I feel like, I know in our business entity ourselves, I know we've been seeing some issues with OG&E already, and one of my connections, one of my clients was saying that OG&E, I don't know if you have any idea about this or not, but OG&E, a couple of instances recently have said they have been in catastrophic conditions meeting our demands since we've had the CMC plant coming online. So I don't know if we're aware of having more need for them to have better improvements in our area.
I'm in communication with Robert Holliday,
Okay.
at least on a weekly basis. He's our OG&E rep, and never once has those words come across.
Well, I think they're not public.
As a matter of fact, I would encourage
they're not actually public,
you and
so
everyone that has access to the Durant website and Facebook page to watch the video regarding OG&E and the CMC and the growth in Durant. And I don't think anyone will have any question about OG&E's capabilities and what they've done, not only for Durant, but across the state. But I'd encourage you and anyone that might be interested to watch that video, and that'll answer any questions, I feel like, regarding OG&E.
Okay. Is there any, how is the council looking to address our other utility needs, for example? So I know like this is going to, I guess this is probably a larger, broader concept, but do we feel like this addition to this plant, is it going to have trickle-down effects that's going to cause service issues in other utility areas such as water or in our sewer plants?
I can address that. I mean, we're going to be getting a CDBG grant to address the water and sewer lines there. That's actually in District 5 Steel Fab is over there right now, and it's not that big. I mean, I don't think they're going to be a huge user of our water, and if they are, we still have quite a bit of capacity in our water system. And with the sewer, it's going to have minimal impact too. Again, this is they're not going to be near I don't believe, or I know, the user of electric and water as a CMC would be. So I don't think it's going to have a significant impact at all on our utilities.
So I guess just informational item, but my business has been looking to do some improvements in our computer systems and backups. And we have two different offices. One's in Durant, one's in Medill. The people we were working with to do this analysis to determine where to put our better improvements, they told us that our Durant location was not ideal at this time because of our utilities. They said that Marshall County in that area, the Medill area, was much better suited utility-wise to handle any type of emergency backup situations that Durant at the moment, in their opinion, is in crisis mode as far as utilities go, that they were aware of for expansion.
Mr. Bishop, are you talking about the city of Durant, or are you talking about?
OG&E Electric. So if somebody else has better knowledge of that, and this is what I'm being told.
I would recommend that you make an appointment. Mr. Holliday's office is right across the street. He offices out of the chamber.
Okay.
And
I know that, and I don't know where we're at on a daily basis, but when OG&E came in for CMC and ran the new transmission lines to the other side of the town and added a substation, they actually gave us a second leg. So now when power goes out in our town, we actually have power coming in from another direction. That didn't used to be the case. Now it is. Now we have redundant source of power. So I have not heard anything about deficiencies on OG&E, and they are tickled to bring power to anybody usually because they get to charge them for it.
All right. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from anyone in the audience? Anyone else? Anyone else? We'll close the public hearing portion of item 6B. Requires no action, is that correct? Information only?
I believe so. Tonight's just the first of this, or does this one need to be accepted as a public hearing?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, 'cause we haven't-
there should be no action required tonight. At the next public hearing, following that second hearing, there'll be an ordinance for consideration.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. And Dan, thank you, and appreciate your patience. And Martin, you too, sir.
And thank you for your service, Mark.
Yes, sir. Paul, I didn't say you, but certainly thank you for your time and effort. Okay, we'll pick up with item 6A. Public hearing, and Ms. Becca's still here?
Yes, I'm hanging in.
Yeah.
Some of the last ones.
If you don't mind, Mayor,
And let me read it.
Oh,
6A, public hearing for the closeout of 16753, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG 16, relating to the residential streets improvement. Public hearing for the, okay. 16753, CDBG 16, C-2016-81. Wait a minute. So, do we do A?
Well, what I was going to suggest, Mayor, if I may, as a follow-up to what has just been discussed, if we could actually jump down to the C, that would be the public hearing for this project, and then go back and do A.
So 6.
6C.
6C.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, public hearing for the 2018 Community Development Block Grant, Economic Development, CDBG-ED, application phase relating to the publicly owned water distribution and sewer collection infrastructure improvements project in the approximate amount of $940,000, serving the Tubitech Durant Inc. facility operations to create new jobs located at 362 Country Club Road.
Okay, thank you. And I wanted to ask, am I correct in calling it Tubisex, or is it Salem Tube?
That's the official name, Tubisex Durant.
Okay.
Tubisex Durant.
Okay, that's what I had. This is a required public hearing that is part of our application phase to apply for CDBG EDIF money through Department of Commerce. And enclosed in your packet is an estimate from Brandon Wall, the engineer, of I think it's a little less than $940,000 if I can find it. And I asked him if it'd be okay just to say approximately $940,000, and he said that would be fine because it may be, you know, we're close to $938,000. But this project is targeting the creation of new jobs, and just as these gentlemen have spoken, Tubasex is proposing 140 new jobs with an average salary of $55,000, which is will qualify for the Oklahoma Quality Jobs Program. It does not require any local match. The private investment of the $40+ million would be would provide the necessary leverage for the application. And it is for water and sewer improvements for that area as outlined right here. And Marty, you might even be able to speak more on where those improvements are going to be for that area. Do you know the lines?
I do. We're looking at three different areas. The line that currently dead ends in front of Steel Fab is a sewer line that's gravity fed back to the east. We're going to bring that up about another 300 feet to bring it over in front of Tubasex and be able to provide sewer for them. We're going to use part of it for a 12-inch meter valve and vault box for the water line that is coming in front of Tubasex and Steel Fab all the way down through there, because now that it becomes potable water, it's something we can use domestically. And we're going to look at extending the line on the very south or north end by the cemetery, on Cemetery Road, across the railroad tracks to the west and tie into South 2nd Street, where Billy Merrill Park is, to give us a larger volume of water. And we think we can accomplish all three of these tasks for the less than $1 million. Good enough?
Yeah, that covers it. Yes, sir. I would like to read this just for the record so we have it in the minutes. The national objective of this program is the development of viable urban communities by providing decent housing and a suitable living environment and expanding economic opportunities, principally for persons of low and moderate income. Of course, throughout the application process, we'll be communicating with the company and it will be part of their due diligence to reach out to the low-income eligible applicants in the community. So, anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Becca?
And if everybody would sign,
We-
Marty, did you give one up here?
Do we need to ask for any questions from the audience? Becca? Anyone in the audience have any questions regarding the block grant application? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the audience? We'll close the public hearing portion of item 6C. Does that require any action?
Not the public hearing, so if there's no comments, you can close that, please.
Okay, we've closed the public hearing portion of item 6C.
Yes.
Now we can go to 6A.
Well, there's two items within following that public hearing.
6A, 1 and 2.
C1 and 2.
What? Shoot. Sorry. Going the wrong way. Okay. C1. Consideration to approve application resolution number 2018-32 for approval to submit the 2018 Community Development Block Grant Economic Development application to Oklahoma Department of Commerce for publicly owned infrastructure improvements serving the Tubasex Durant, Inc. facility located at 362 Country Club Road. We have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. 6C2.
Move to authorize the mayor to sign related grant documents related to CDBG ED.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, Becca, it's your command. Where do I go now?
You need to go back, please, to A.
6A?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we've already, or for the record, we've entered public hearing for the closeout of 16753 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG 16, relating to the residential streets improvement.
Okay.
Does that require any action?
Well, if you would allow me to
Or-
speak, yes.
I will.
I know, we're all tired, and I'm sorry, but I have to go through this.
You just
It's a
help me through it.
requirement.
You just help me through it.
Okay. The streets improvement project for 4 different block segments have been completed, and they were for West Mississippi, which is by Plyler Park. Yes. And then part of West Alabama Street from 1st to 3rd, and then the Northeast 3rd Avenue near the splash pad, as well as East Cedar that tees into that. The Streets Department did an awesome job, utilized our labor and equipment, and James had proposed originally to contribute additional match over and above our 1-to-1, which the total budget was $194,800. We finished at $178,252.39, and we were under budget $16,547.61. There's some documents that I gave to you, and I apologize that I had to give you papers. But at the time I was trying to get those completed, there was a glitch in the OK Grant system. But it gives you an overview of the final budget, final grant report. This is a very different grant because it was only for materials. There's no wages involved, and no construction contract.
I want to echo Becca's comments on James Young and the street crew, and particularly over by the splash pad and the Little League ballpark there. That's what, Northeast 3rd and Cedar, and they just did a bang-up job on that street construction. If you get a chance, drive that.
Yes, they did.
So, any action?
There's no comments from the council, and you can ask if you want to from
Any
the
comments from the
public,
council?
please.
Oh, already made them, didn't I? Okay. So is that 6A?
Yes, and if there's no comments from the public, if you would close the public hearing, please.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Any comments? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of 6A and move to
To accept the project as complete.
Move to
One.
approve 6A1.
Second. Good job in directing traffic there. Great job.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Clerk will
late,
record the
we're
vote,
hungry.
please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills. Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries.
Move to
we-
approve 6A2.
Second. I mean, as long as Becca's okay with
We
it.
have a motion, we have a second. Any
And that's the
further dis-
documents in front of you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock?
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson?
Aye, motion carries.
And I would like to ask everyone that has not signed the sign-in sheets to please do that, since we have a skeleton crew left.
Was there just one?
Okay.
You
Oh.
did? Okay, you're awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Do we still have 6B?
Oh, I don't know. We did it.
Yep, we did that one.
Yeah, that was the tip.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, how come I didn't? Okay.
Okay. I do too.
No, not a regular.
Well, I was gonna say if you had a little bit of self-promotion. I mean, I got my logo on.
Item number 7, we have no citizen comments. If there are no objections, would council prefer to recess out of regular session, take care of utilities and airport authority?
So moved.
Have a motion to recess?
Second.
And second. Clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne?
Aye.
Councilmember Groby? Councilmember Dills?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock?
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson?
Aye, we're recessed out of regular city council. Let the record show it's 9:45. Call to order the regular monthly meeting of the Durant City Utilities Authority of November the 13th, 2018. Ask the secretary to call the roll, please.
Trustee Hawthorne?
Here.
Trustee Groby? Trustee Dills?
Here.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock?
Here.
Chairman Tomlinson?
Here. For the record, all members are present. We have a full quorum. First order of business, consent items, 1A and B.
Where are we at? Utilities.
Move to approve.
Have a motion?
Second.
And second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote.
Trustee
The
Hawthorne?
secretary will record the vote.
Aye.
Trustee Groby? Trustee Dills?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock?
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson?
Aye, motion carries. Item 2 requires no action. Nothing under item number 3. We'll go to item number 4, under administration. 4A, consider approval of utility project agreement with the Marisco for oversight, coordination, and management of automated meter reading system project, or take other appropriate action. Mr. Marty?
I think this is the last thing that is a big thing for the night, so I won't read the whole thing to you. We're looking seriously at the AMR meter system that we talked about one time before, with the Neptune Mach 10 type meters, the automatic reading system that would protect our citizens and ourselves and provide us years of long-standing service. There was some miscommunications and some oversights on the last time we brought this through, and we've changed some things, as you'll notice, and made it a lot simpler. And I would be happy to entertain any questions you might have on this contract that you see before you.
Questions for Marty?
I have one.
Okay.
Marty, it sounds like to me that what we're doing is we're getting someone to determine if the need or to go out and get the bids for us. Is that correct?
Not really. So here's what we're doing. We know there's a need. There's no question
Yeah,
that this
I
would be a
don't
good system
argue
for
with
us.
that.
We have not got to prove that at all. What we're doing is we're hiring somebody to take on the responsibility of helping us find the right deals and the right times for bidding procedures, for an estimated cost that will be brought back to us before we ever sign on for anything permanent. We're going to be presented with an estimated cost. We're going to be presented with some RFP options for construction and for meter systems, and we're going to be presented with a way forward.
Okay, so what we're going to be voting on is to allow Amoresco
Mhm.
to do this for us.
Yes,
Okay, what are they going to charge to do this?
they're not.
So they're doing
They're going to
this-
do this for us for free.
What are we going to pay them down the road?
We're not. I mean, that's the simple fact of the matter. Now, obviously, if we like it and we move forward with them, which there is no bound tide that we have to do so, then there would be a project administration cost like there is for any other project that I have anybody administer for me. But right now, for this particular effort that you're looking at, there is absolutely no cost.
Okay, so basically, it's not gonna be something that if we go with their recommendation, it's gonna be built into the cost. I mean, they're gonna say, kinda like it was last time.
Be a totally separate, and I told you, this deal is a lot different, right? There's no upfront,
Okay.
there's no promise. In the meantime, they're gonna present us something so good we want it, or we won't go.
Okay.
I mean, that's what it amounts to. Pretty simple.
Okay.
The benefit of this is that, again, they are taking care of administering this part of the project. I simply do not have the time to put the effort forward that would do the just job on the front end of this project, to get all the pricing, to get all the RFPs for contractors and for meter systems and for reading systems. And that's why we're hoping we can use somebody for that facility.
I just wasn't aware that that's what they did.
Yeah.
I thought they.
Well, if you notice, this contract's only about a page and a half.
Right, I did.
It's pretty simple.
Any other questions for Marty?
Move to approve.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Nay.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4B.
We will not take any action on 4B tonight.
Okay. Okay, oh, okay. Item 4B, no action,
Thank you, guys.
for the record. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. The secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Aye.
Trustee Groby. Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, we are adjourned. We'll let the record show it's 9:51. No, sorry. Yeah.
Late. You can just say late.
And, yeah. Call to order the regular monthly meeting of the Durant Airport Authority, November the 13th, 2018. Ask Secretary to call the roll, please.
No yawning.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Here.
Trustee Groby.
Here.
Trustee Dills.
Here.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Here.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Here. For the record, all members are present. We have a full quorum. First order of business, consent items 1A.
Move to approve.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman
Aye,
Tomlinson.
motion carries. Item 2 requires no action. 3, neither does 3. Have nothing under item 4, nothing under 5. Anything under new business? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And a second, secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
All right, we're adjourned out of the Durant Airport Authority. Entertain a motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Have a
Second.
motion and a second. The clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, we're back into regular session. And we are at agenda item number 8. Under executive session, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to go into, enter into executive session. The clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, we are in executive session. Oh, yeah.